Hello, Soma fam. So, welcome to my page. Today, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful bustier with a yoke at the top in front, as you can see here. Then you can make any yoke of your choice. So, first, we're going to need our pattern paper, our measuring tape, and our marker. So, we're going to measure 1 inch at the top and leave it at the top there, and then take our normal measurement. From shoulder, that's the shoulder at the top there, shoulder to upper bust 7.5, shoulder to bust 10, and then shoulder to under bust 14, as you can see here. And then shoulder to waistline is 15.5. So measure that, draw a line, and then mark it. So our shoulder is 7.5. So normally the shoulder is less, 7.25. So what I did was I added half inch and then that made it 7.75. So we'll measure that. And what I did was also rule from the shoulder point to our neckline and added the allowance already. So doing that at the top made the allowance already added. So on the two sides, I did 4 inches at the down part and then 3 inches at the other side. It's 3.5 inches at the top side. So from that shoulder point would pinpoint our shoulder midpoint. That's half of it. So that midpoint is located. We'll go in by half an inch like this, and then curve. Use our curve ruler all the way to the armpit area. Then at the side, we're going to use our span, our bust span. So our bust span here is 3.5. So the total bust span is 7 inches. So unfold is 3.5. And then measuring, like now we left that's half inch I told you about. So I'm going to leave it out. So that I'll check the midpoint of the shoulder without that half inch. And then draw a line from the bust span from the bust point all the way to the shoulder. So on the sides, we're going to do 1 inch on both sides, 1 inch from here and 1 inch on the other side, and roll up. So I'll go up by half an inch because I don't want the bust to sag. I want it to stand up firm. So I'll just go up by half an inch a bit, and voila, we're good to go. So the next thing we're going to use is we'll go down from our bust, go down by 1 inch so that we don't have a sharp edge at the bust point. So we use our curve ruler and match up to that point like this. So usually I don't stick with the measurement of the bust, so I just by the on the bust so that it stands up firmly. So from the upper bust to that point we just marked there, I went up by 1.5. You can go up by 2, but I prefer that point because I would want to make the yoke at that point. So on the side I did 0.75 on this side and then half on the other side. And see the way this ruler is curved. We just pause here. We would turn the ruler upside down so that it can give you that yoke, that love curve. So not this way. So you can do it this way or that other way. But the way I made this dress, I turned it upside down. That's why I showed you the previous picture. So all the way to that midpoint you've marked. So the midpoint at the armpit area. So used I'll use go higher by half an inch from the upper bust. So that's the bust point. So I'll go higher by half an inch and draw a straight line, then link it up. So when you're doing yours, you can just make it go higher before you do. So I made that curve and I didn't like the way it looked. So I increased it by 0.25, making 1 inch on this side. So I linked it up. So 1 inch sits very comfortably and looks beautiful. So this is the outcome. So I cancelled that one out. And then the other side we have half an inch. So I just used our curve ruler and marked it to that point. So the total space we have at the top there is 1.5 inches. So I measured the 1.5 inches from this point to that point and then added it at the armpit area like this. So I'll just mark it there, use our curve ruler and blend it down. Can you see? I'll blend it down, draw all the way to the armpit area, draw all the way to the point where we're going to cut out our yoke for the top part. And this is for the front yoke. So when we're done doing that, I just highlighted the points where we're going to. So I'll measure. Usually I don't cut out. I ensure that I just leave a big portion. So I'll show you what to do that will make that bust area, the other side of bust here, sit well. So I just measured it, left the, that's those spaces in between, left them and did the measurement all the way and marked it. And you notice that it's not straight. So you don't cut out everything. What you're going to do is the biggest part of it, you'd make sure you draw a straight line all the way to the top. So what I did to it, I did 1 inch from directly on the bust point, 1 inch upwards, and then drew a straight line all the way to the bust. And then you see, folded it and covered it. Can you see how beautiful it looks? And then it settles in beautifully. And this case, there is no excess and everything just sits beautiful and perfectly, as you can see at the start. So ignore the way this one is. I didn't draw the line all the way to the midpoint, and when I was trying to fold it, it didn't work out. So ensure you stick with it. So this is the part that is going to be cut out, and then our yoke is going to be kept. So we'll just cut out those parts, and then this is for the back part. So the same measurement we use for the front, although we leave a zipper allowance of 1 inch at that side. So I measured the shoulder, which is 7.75, and then drew like I did in the front the shoulder slant by 1 inch. But I ensure that I already added the 1 inch allowance for sewing at the top. So in this case, we don't go in by half an inch at the back, so we just use our curve ruler and match it to the bottom part. So I went down in the front part by 2 inches, and on the side 3.5, which is the usual, because the front had 3.5 already. And then I blended it to that top part. So now for the back part, we'll go in by half an inch because the back is not straight, so there's going to be a little curve. So to ensure that zip lump that used to be at the back for people's clothing that don't know this is what to do. You go up by 1 inch and draw a straight line all the way to the rim in a slant like this, and then the other slant is half inch at the back part. So we're going to measure our new zip allowance, as you're seeing here, 1 inch all the way to the top. So when you're drawing that slant at the back, make sure you don't do it all the way to the zip area. That's the top part. See where I stopped? You just stop like 1.5 to 2 inches below the neckline. So this is the new zip allowance. So I'll label that and ensure that whatever I took out from this part, I'll add at the other side. Don't forget. So this is the back part. So I just took measurements, the usual measurement, put it on it, as you can see, all the way to the bottom part, and drew a straight line on the side, and we're good to go for the back. So ensure, remember to put your dart. So the dart is the same thing with the front part where we use 3.5. So the dart's going to be 3.5 away from the zip, and the slant goes all the way to the upper bust. So here is the pattern cut out, both for the wrapper and then for the lining. And then for the yoke, I did 2 times of it because I wanted it to be thick and not transparent. So 4 of it, like, okay, let's say 2 of it, and it's 4 times a fold, as you can see there. Then I notched these areas where there's going to be an intersection, a meet between this side and that side. So don't forget to like and subscribe. It will help this channel grow, and then I can be able to post so many and so much more beautiful things. So here is the hard stay. So this hard stay for the bustier just makes it thick and gives it that fullness. Like even without putting on a what's the bra with padded bra, you can be able to use this and you are good to go. It will look so awesome. So as you can see how I labeled it, marked it, and cut it out. So that's what I'm going to do for the other side of the bustier. So that's for the front. So I'll draw like this, rule underneath, and then cut. So for this part, we're still going to finish it up. So I used the pattern, not the material itself, because the material has half-inch allowance all around, but this doesn't have. So I added half-inch allowance for it, in case I didn't emphasize on that. So that's sewing allowance all around. I added it aside the shoulder. That's if you're dealing with where there's a shoulder, we added allowance already. So I ironed it like this, and then same thing for the lining too. I ironed a cotton ST on it, and we're good to go. So after doing this, I joined them together. First, you just join the front part, that's the center panel, joined the lining and the material or wrapper together, and sewed all around so that it stays in position all around. No flipping and no turning. So after sewing it all around, this is how it looks. Then we're going to bring our side panels. After this, the middle panel, of the front part. So we're going to bring our side panels. And remember the notched areas. So we're going to put it like bread and butter. So we're going to put our wrapper, the one at the top of the clean side up. We'll place it on the wrapper, while the one at the back, we're going to put a lining that has lining for the side panel. So we just put lining on the material on top and then ensure that both of them are facing each other, right sides up. So we pin it down and then do the same thing to the other side. Pin it down. So eventually you're going to pin up everything, and after pinning out everything, you can take it to the sewing machine and sew with ease. So I use small needles to do this. So there are big needles and the smaller ones. So this is the smaller needles. I use it to hold it down, and that is that. So this is how it looks when it's pinned down. Can you see how beautiful and remarkable it already looks? So pin it down and then sew all around and turn it backwards like this, and you see how beautiful it's turning out. Then this is how it looks when it's ironed. Doesn't it look gorgeous? So press it down and then bring our yoke. So our yoke is, let's put the camera back. Our yoke will be joined by the neck side. So we'll sew it all around, turn it backwards, front side facing front side, and then sew it all around the neck rim. So after sewing it, I trimmed it down so that it's not chunky around the neck rim. So I trimmed it down. After trimming it down, turned it over. So after turning it over, I ironed it, pressed it down with my steaming iron, and then brought the front part, placed it on it like this. What I did was, instead of doing this, I turned it backwards. I placed it from behind on top of the lining and then sewed all around. Ensure you notch where the midpoint is so that you don't make the mistake of sewing excess. Maybe one side is shorter, the other side is longer, and there's no balance. So you notch it and then place it. So this is how, after I've sewn the back part, I'll show you how to place the front part and sew it. So what I did was pinned it this way with our small needle and sewed, pinned it all around. You'd see how it looks when it's all pinned down. This is how it looks. Isn't this beautiful? So I pinned it all down and then sewed. Voila! This is how beautiful it already turning out. Then we went straight to our back after the front has been done successfully. See it? So for the back, remember to sew your dart. So I didn't remember to sew my dart in time, but eventually when I did, it turned out well still. So first you sew your dart, then you sew the zip all the way around. And after sewing it, after sewing the zip area, as you can see the notched area for the zip, this outcome. So I used our steaming iron and pressed it down, then placed the front part, the back part. So how to hide it in the inside would be turn it around. You place it in and then the other lining turns over to the other side like this before you can be sewn. So place it like this and then sew it. And do the same for the other shoulder. See how beautiful it looks, even just pinned down and the lining already sewn and the back sewn already. So I did measurement for the front, making sure that the front is bigger than the back, of course, and put the zip, the sleeves, and our already sewn peplum. So if you want to know about how to sew a peplum, you check my previous video how to sew a beautiful flamboyant sleeve like this with see it out with a flare at the edge and then with the design on the arm. You check my previous video as well. So like and subscribe and have a lovely week. Bye.